Hello, I'm Gamer5150, and welcome to the first episode of Arklay Zoo. In this series, we're going to do things a little differently. We'll have time lapses, but we'll also do some live plays towards the end of each video. One of the more frustrating aspects of this game is the fact that the staff buildings negatively impact the guest happiness. If it's themed properly and you're not using just the bare bones building, I don't understand why it would affect negatively. Like, as a human myself, I wouldn't mind seeing a building as long as it's not just a shed or something, you know. Like the staff building I just placed, it has a nice brickwork and theming and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't understand why it affects them negatively. And that actually was the bane of my existence for the first couple of times I played this game. And I'll get into that a little more during the live play. Now that we have our first set of staff buildings placed, it's time to start on our first habitat, which will become our flamingo habitat. Unfortunately, I didn't do the land correctly. I should say, raise it high enough so I can put the water in properly. So I'll have to go back and redo that, as you'll see here in a couple seconds. And redoing that actually worked out to my advantage because it gave the enclosure more room towards the back end, which I think will help us out a lot later. The one issue I had was those trees that I placed outside of the habitat affected the plant life within the habitat still, and it wound up being too much. So you'll see me a little later, I think I did this on camera, move those trees I placed behind their back. I think if the trunks of the trees are outside of the area, I don't think it should count completely. It probably sounds like I'm complaining a lot, but this game is in its infancy, and I'm just pointing out some of the flaws that I've found. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not enjoying this game. I mean, I'm enjoying this game immensely. I remember playing the original Zoo Tycoon back when it first came out, and just I love doing stuff like this. I mean, as you can tell, I've got Planet Coaster, and I love building theme parks, and the Planet Zoo's not that much different, except it's just animals. Now I wish you could merge the two and do something like Six Flags Discovery Kingdom type of a thing. I'm really hoping that in the expansion packs, that we get like marine life, or as much as I'd love to see dinosaurs, I don't think Frontier will do that because of their Jurassic World game. This area will be our food court, and it's got a nice little centerpiece that I'll put in here in a second, and later on, which I believe I also say this in the live play, so excuse me for repeating myself, I will be adding the tables and umbrellas and stuff like that for people to enjoy their food. I wasn't sure what to do with the space behind the food court, so I decided, hey, they're big enough for small habitats, or so I thought. So I decided to put in the habitats and put all the buildings and stuff in. What I didn't realize was that putting that many staff buildings into that area extremely increased the negative impact bubble and totally made my food court area just bad. It had to be redone. After placing down the habitat barriers, I had to go through and look in the Zoopedia for which animals could have that small of a enclosure with no water. And I found that the aardvark, which you can only really have 2 adult aardvarks at a time, and the bongos worked perfectly, or so I thought. The aardvark enclosure stays pretty much the same. However, the bongo enclosure, while as you can see here I'm looking at, says it only needs a certain amount, and I had that amount. Once I think I added the foliage and stuff, it took away from their available space, which that's kind of obvious, especially with the hard shelter there, and yeah, it was not big enough, so I have to then go and move the path, which, okay, fine, that's cool and all, no problem moving the path, but I had this perfect, almost symmetrical design and all that goodness, but yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do if you want certain animals there, huh? So with the aardvarks, I wound up having too much foliage. So one thing that I guess I'm not really happy about with this game, but understandable because, certain animals like having open spaces or not enough plants, but I really like overly detailed, lots of foliage. As you can tell by my waterfall area there, I did the whole back end there with the elephant grass, kind of to block it a little bit, which actually you'll see me use that technique a lot when needing to block buildings and stuff. But yeah, no, there was too much foliage, and that kind of was disappointing. But luckily, the bongos like a lot of plant coverage, so that made me happy. One small little detail that I really liked was that the donation bins are colorable. And so I've decided that for every habitat, the donation bins will have a different color, somewhat going along with the theme of that animal. Whereas, like, you think aardvarks, you think browns, and same with bongos, so you got to use a different brown. Turtles and tortoises, greens and stuff. And then you'll see here, I decide to go for the pinks for the flamingos because that's a given, right? And like tigers, they'll have be orange and black, and zebras will be black and white, stuff like that. I'm really, really enjoying the fact that is an option. All right, and we're just about at the end of our time lapse here, and we're ready to jump into the live play. So I'll see y'all here in a couple of seconds. All right, and welcome to the live play, and welcome to Arklay Zoo. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the name Arklay comes from the video game Resident Evil, which is the surrounding forest and mountain range surrounding the town Raccoon City. So here's hoping we don't have any zombie animals or zombies, period. That sounded better in my head. But anyways, let's take a look, shall we? So this waterfall area here is the first thing I actually built ever in this game, period. Now I saved it as a blueprint. I actually have gone through, I think this is my 5th iteration of Arklay Zoo, so I might do an episode of Zoo Fails, because what happened was I couldn't get things to work, and just the whole learning curve of how to do certain things. Like I tried to put the staff buildings underground, and the first time I didn't do it deep enough. The second time I did it deep enough, but the staff couldn't find an accessible staff room or something along those lines, and it was just chaos. I even built kind of like a utilidor system of underground tunnels, staff paths, and it didn't work. But moving right along, we come in on this side and we have our bongos. Let's take a look at these guys, shall we? Just walk right on through that tree. Yeah, Oh look, the keeper's doing the poop, but I see they haven't done the food. Yeah, I've been having an issue with that. I know a lot of people have been as well. You just run right on into your shelter there, honey. Oh yes, lay down, get comfy. But yeah, a lot of people have been having issues with the zookeepers not feeding the animals. Oh, lovely. Just poop for the camera. At least the AI animals are acting like real animals, right? Let's move on. So one thing you'll notice different from the time lapse to now is that there's more space right here. I had to actually move these buildings further away from the staff buildings because they were negatively impacting the guests, and the guests weren't shopping at the food places. So, yeah, there's that. So these areas right here are going to be for expansions. Basically, if I have to expand the aardvarks or the bongos, there's room. And then possibly by the next episode or during the next episode, I'll be placing all the tables and stuff like that around the centerpiece area here. So that way you have a place to sit down and eat your food instead of standing and eating. I also don't have any benches or trash bins or anything placed down yet. So that's all next. And I may do that off camera because that is kind of the tedious, boring work. Let's that's not an aardvark. Let's check on our aardvarks. I can click on it. There we go. Now these guys prefer to be alone, as far as, just a group of 2 adults. So once they start having offspring, then I'm going to have to, once the offspring matures, I'll have to sell them. Or sell the old aardvarks, or older, I should say. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I had to do privacy glass for them. Something off camera happened while I was, checking on everything, and their welfare was at 0 because they were trying to hide and there was nowhere to hide. So typically when something like that happens, you want to put the one-way glass, because as you can see, the guests can still see the aardvarks, but the aardvarks can't see the guests. They can probably hear them though. And so I think that was a really cool addition to this, because yeah, that is needed, and I didn't know that that's a possibility. I don't know if any regular zoos use that or not, but that's pretty awesome. Alright, let's check on our flamingos. Oh, we have a baby! Lots of babies. Oh, Farrah, I should rename her Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, these things, these flamingos, they like to mate. That's for sure. But that's okay because their group size can be up to 500. That's cool. The only thing I don't like is that they don't like too many plants, and I'm like, okay. I prefer a lot of plants myself. Let's start with the tortoises. We'll start with the Aldabra giant tortoises here. Let's go on in. Slow and steady wins the race. Oh, I should probably fix that donation bin sticking into their thing there. Oh, look, the keeper actually filled their food. That's amazing. Alright, we're going to head on to the Galapagos tortoises because I have an interesting story here. First off, right here we have Tom, named after my father. And then over here is Carol, named after my mother. Now, the story behind this is about 17, 18 years ago. My mom, my sister, my nephews, my best friend, and I were all at the Oakland Zoo. And we were down by the tortoises, and the tortoises decided to mate. Well, they make this interesting grunting sound while they mate. Kind of a type of a sound. And maybe a little more deeper and guttural than that. But, and it was okay, they're mating. Okay, let's move on. Let's get my young, 2 or 3-year-old nephew away from this. I don't. Oh, look up! Did Carol just have babies? I think my mother just had babies. Oh, look, there's 3 of them. Anyways, so my mom turns to me and my best friend and goes, sounds like your father. Oh, did we hightail it out of there away from her? And she's just laughing. You know, kids don't want to hear stuff like that about their parents. Let's take a look at these guys. Let's see what we had. We had, oh, 1 boy, 1 girl, and another girl. Well, congrats, Mom. You had triplets. Seeing as how I know you're watching. Hi, Mommy. See, I wasn't expecting this. So this is the second time I'm recording the live play because the first time my mic wasn't on. So that's awesome. Totally awesome. So yeah, that's our zoo, and yeah, we've got room back here for more exhibits. And I think I'm going to put some gift shops along here. I might come and do it in this area, actually. I was going to have... Actually, no, I was going to use this area over here for more exhibits. So I think I'll do gift shops in here. And a nice little resting area and some more bathrooms and maybe some info centers. But that's all to come. So yeah, that's our zoo so far. So I'm Gamer5150. You can also call me Steven. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next episode. And of course, if you liked this episode, hit that like button. As always, please leave me a comment, good or bad. I read them all. And if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. Thank you, and have a great day.